Mary Fastenau, thank you so much for coming down to ThinkTech. It's great to see you.
Well, thank you. It's wonderful to be here.
So there's a big program, and you and I are both working on it, and I wanted to talk to you about it. It's called NewsMorphosis 2.0, and it's on March 18th, 2010 at 8 in the morning at the
Plaza Club.
Thank you very much. So what is it about? Why would anybody want to go?
Well, I think everybody should go. Of course, I'm a little prejudiced. But I think when we look at, we've all heard, especially with the recent news about newspapers declining, magazines going out of business. But we're trying to take a little broader approach because we all acknowledge those trends. That's a little bit old news. But what we really need to talk about is what does that have effect on our society as a whole? It's kind of a different way of gathering news, and how are people making informed decisions?
It's the frog in the water, isn't it?
It is the frog in the water.
It's a sea change. It's getting hotter. And if we just sit here in the water, we're going to get all burned up.
We will. And what will be watering our brains or keeping us informed? I think that's the big thing.
Yeah, these are very exciting times with the owner of the Star Bulletin buying the advertiser. Lord knows where that will go. Nobody knows where that will go.
No one knows.
Or how it will affect us. You know, the newspapers have been declined for so long, not only here but everywhere. And we are in a sea change, a huge 10, 20-year sea change, and it's coming to the end of the chapter somehow. And the internet is coming up and eating its lunch somehow. So tell me, what's the content? What kind of panels and speeches do we have to interest people and educate them on these issues?
Well, I think because we're taking the broader context, we obviously start out with a big keynote and someone that you arranged for, Avi Sofer from the law school. So I think that will be exciting just in terms of having people talk about that.
You're only saying that because he's a constitutional lawyer.
Yeah.
And he's interested in the First Amendment and the right of the freedom of the press in a free society, which is critical to all of our lives here together in these United States.
Da, 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 da,
there it is.
But I think the one that a lot of people find interesting actually is the transformation of the news. And this is one that I'm particularly interested in because it's actually trying to get into what's happening with conventional media and how digital media is doing it. And one of the speakers that I think will be fascinating is Will Moss, who you have recruited from China, who's done a lot of work for big PR firms in China. So I think taking that contrast with some of our local luminaries, Gina Mangieri from KHON, Chris Archer from the Advertiser.
Don't forget Mark Platt from the Advertiser.
Mark Platt from the Advertiser.
We have a lot of questions we want to ask Mark.
And he's probably hoping he has answers. So I think that will be a good one too, in terms of how news is really being transformed now.
You know, we had our conference calls yesterday, and the first guy that called in was Will Moss from Beijing. He called, and I said, "Oh, we can't spend too much time on the phone, Will. You know, it's China, it's expensive." He said, "No matter, Jay, I'm on Skype. Doesn't matter how long we spend. Won't cost you a dime." Anyway, he's brilliant, you know. I had forgotten just exactly how brilliant he is. He's marvelous. You will see on March 18th.
I can't wait. That's going to be. And then we're going to talk about really how the delivery system has been transformed. And so Kyle Chenoy from Talisman will be there. I think he'll be very interesting, as well as our own Dan Look from Ikaso and Alan Lagoon from Kanu, Hawaii, who has done a lot of work and really transformed a lot of things that Kanu has done. But then from that one, our luminary from there will be Sarah Lacey from TechCrunch. So,
yeah.
And I understand, since I'm the moderator for that one, I'm a little scared because I understand she's very, very sharp.
She's very, very sharp. We are really going to have a fantastic panel on that one, especially with your moderation.
Yeah.
The difference between a good panel and not so good panel is the moderator, Mary, but no pressure.
No pressure. No pressure. Help!
Anyway, that's the tech panel.
Yeah.
That's where we find out exactly what tools are being generated and how all these internet tools are coming together. You know, it's the synergy that really makes a difference. And some of these tools are fabulous, but when you add them all up, the sum is greater than the parts, you know?
It is, and it's continuing to evolve, which is why I think this group in particular is interesting, because it won't just be about the internet, but what are you doing on your handheld device? What are you doing on all the other places where you're getting information today? And I think that'll be fascinating. And then the third panel is more about the business focus. So it really talks about, because when we've talked about this, the big thing about news, as everyone knows, is that there's got to be something behind it to actually propel it with some money to move forward. So I think that one will be excited. So Steve Petranek from Hawaii Business is going to be the moderator for that one. And we'll have Jeff Portnoy, another local First Amendment attorney there. Dave Shapiro of the Honolulu Advertiser, who always has some wonderful opinions.
He's a very thoughtful man,
Very.
a philosophical man. He comes up with ideas. You know, it always surprises you what he comes up with. He's amazing.
He is totally amazing. And then somebody that you've recruited, you want to talk a little bit about Michael Friedman?
Yeah, Michael Friedman. He is the founder and president of the Global Media Institute in GW, George Washington University. He's been with the media, broadcast media, for a lifetime. And he is right on top of all of this from a global perspective. And on top of that, he is a nice guy and really cares about this program. He is really looking forward to coming out here. We talked to him too. He joined us on the conference yesterday.
Great,
and he's a marvelous guy. So you're going to have a wonderful time on that panel.
Yeah, I think that will be good. And then, I think we're going to feed him lunch.
Yes, we're going to feed them lunch. It's going to be a sandwich bar at the Plaza Club. They're all excited about making sandwiches. They're going to make like a deli, you know. Anyway, the lunch won't be that long because at 12:30, we're going to go into our keynote speaker for lunch. Who is that now exactly?
John Temple, and John Temple is a voice or a name that people will hear a lot of because he's going to be the newly appointed editor of Peer News, which is, when you talk about a different sort of business model, that's definitely is what that's going to be. So John was from the Denver papers, won a couple Pulitzer Prizes, just some little things along the way, and very thought-provoking as well.
Yeah, I actually met him over the weekend. He's quite a guy. You're going to enjoy him. He's the editor's editor. And that's why Pierre Omidyar found him and hired him for this job. And that's why he's setting up a huge organization, actually, out in Kaimuki, as it were. They're taking space out there. And have quite a few journalists, and they're going to do investigative reporting from Kaimuki. We'll hear more about that from John Temple on March 18th, Mary.
I know. I think it will be good. So that's really what the program's about.
Yeah, that's pretty heavy business. You know, the point is that Hawaii can do global quality programs. We're going to show that. That's why we're bringing people in. So we've got the cream of the crop. This is going to be a really active and cerebral discussion, a take-home with a big payload, you know?
Yes.
So how can people sign up for this program, Mary? Tell them now.
Well, they can go online at ThinkTech and just register online, which is probably the easiest way to do it.
I agree. ThinkTech Hawaii, thinktechhawaii.com. It's right there. You can sign up and you can reach nirvana right there on ThinkTech. So sign up for NewsMorphosis 2.0 today, March 18, 2010, and tell them that Mary and I sent you. Right, Mary?
Right, right.
Aloha.